Good morning and welcome to Hometown Living.
Good morning.
So I'm so excited. So last week, so you know I'm not a baker. I'm not domesticated at all. But the show is turning me into quite the domesticated individual. So last week we made sourdough.
Yes, we did.
All right, and so this is a starter. So let's talk about that because you know there are some breads that you just put it in the thing and then you let it rise, and then this is not that. So sourdough is special. So talk a little bit about that.
Sourdough is a commitment. It is a family member. It is a family member.
Yes.
You feed it. It's a living organism, so it's creating that natural fermentation instead of dumping in the powdered yeast that we would with a little water and sugar to make it fluff up. This is what that does. It takes the place of yeast in your breads. It's a little easier on your gut. It's natural, but again, it is a family commitment. It's your pet, basically.
And we talked a little bit that, you know, you said it's easier on your tummy. You know, the health practitioner that I see said that this is really one of the best breads that we can eat. And so that's why, because of the natural fermentation, correct?
Right. And I mean, this has been around since around 1500 BC. So, I mean, it's not like a new gig. It's, you know, it's kind of phased in and out popularity-wise, but in the 80s, it had a resurgence, and everybody's doing it. Sourdough is it right now. So,
and I love it. So this was really easy. So what did we put in there last week to start?
And I didn't bring my scale. I always say get a scale if you're going to start your own sourdough, or use a scale. We had 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour.
And that was
We just stirred it together and made a nice little pasty mixture.
And I feel like we overcomplicate things.
We do.
And so that was so easy. Okay, so then we started it. Now, did you do anything with this at all last week?
Yeah, so the first day or two, 2 days actually, I just let it sit.
Okay.
And it got all bubbly and liquidy, and I'll tell you, don't be shocked if you're making this and you see a line of liquid on top. It's just getting hungry.
Okay.
And that's a good sign. You want to see some bubbles and some actions, and you can kind of see where it's risen up here. When it gets hungry, it'll rise up, and then it'll fall, and you can kind of see how liquidy it is. He kind of, you know, is very loose. But anyway, and then after the second day, I started dumping out part down to 50 grams, which is going to look like nothing. You're going to panic. It's okay. Trust the process.
Okay.
Then we're going to add 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water, and we're just going to keep doing that for 15 days.
Every day?
Every day.
You add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour.
And you dump out enough to make 50 grams of your original. You keep 50 grams.
Okay.
And then you add the 50 and the 50. So it's called a 1 to 1 to 1 ratio.
Okay.
So it's equal parts of everything. Okay.
Can I mess this up?
Not really. It's pretty forgiving. Now, the first 15 days, you got to be a little more cautious about how much food you're giving it and make sure that you do it. But afterwards, as we'll learn later on, it's your friend. It really is. Some people make it so hard and it's so stressful.
I think I do. I think I overcomplicate it.
And we do.
All right, so one of the things that you'd said was it's part of our family. We have to name it.
Yes.
All right, so we have a challenge for our viewers. We want you to help us name our sourdough.
Yeah.
Right. So you have, tell us the ones that you have.
So I have two, and I have big ones because I make so much bread, but I have Jennifer Lopez. We call her J-Dough. She's a little moody. She's kind of sassy.
Is she?
Yeah, you know.
She and I would get along just fine.
And then I have Dolene, and she's a sweet little Dolene.
Yeah, I love that.
We had Eduardo, but he kind of was a little slacker, so he
got nixed.
He's done. So yeah, but no, you name them because you remember them. Then you personalize them. You make them part of your day.
I love that. So we want you to help us name our sourdough starter so that we can feed it like one of the families. So, all right. So Rhonda's sticking around, and after the break, we're going to talk about what to do with the leftover sourdough starter. So make sure that you stay with us. To break to rest. But now, what do you do when it gets too big? So we talked a little bit about that we've got the starter, but then you have the discard, right? And so many people just kind of throw that away, but you've found ways to be creative with the starter.
Yes,
or with the discard. So let's talk about that.
So I will say, after day 15, you're okay to bake, you're okay to do whatever with it. One thing, can I touch on just quickly the safety of the starter?
Please do.
So starter is a living thing, and it does have bacteria in it, and some bacteria are, of course, bad. So one thing to really, really watch for, I can't stress this enough, a pink line. If you see any coloration of a pink line, you can't use it. You got to let it go and start again. That is not, it's no bueno. You don't want that.
Okay.
But another thing people get a little freaked out is if they forget to feed it, or some people store it in the fridge and feed it once a week, whatever, there's other options. You see a black liquid on top. It's okay. That's called hooch.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't name it. I love
Okay.
it. Stir that in or dump it off, and you're good to go. You're okay, but you'll see liquid on top sometimes. It's just hungry. It's saying, feed me, please feed me.
Okay.
So, but the pink line is huge. That's
To get rid of that for sure.
Get rid of it and start over.
Okay.
You don't want that. So yeah.
So when I do my discard, when I'm pouring off my 50 milliliters, is it 50 grams or 50 milliliters?
Grams,
50
okay.
grams. When I'm pouring that off, do I put that in a container and then just store that, or what do I do with that?
Stick it in the fridge. And I will say, a quick side note, I always keep some starter in my fridge, always,
Okay.
because if this dies, you can pull that out of the fridge and
just
it's
start
ready
over
to start
again.
feeding because it's safe to use. So,
Okay.
but the discard, as you get baking and you're doing more, you're going to have more, and you can always build up your amounts. The discard, you want to dump about half off of your starter to refeed it. That discard, you don't want to dump it. It's gold. You
Yeah.
can use it for everything. So many cool things.
Okay.
Right? So I make granola out of it.
I love that.
Brownies. People make cookies, pancakes,
Oh, I never thought about
waffles.
that.
Here's a trick. Blow your mind. So when you're making a stew,
Okay.
or like I make homemade chicken pot pies,
Yeah.
don't use just flour and water for a roux. Take a little starter, stir that in some warm water to make a pasty, not
Yes.
paste, but just a thickener. What is it? Flour and water is a thickener? You'll add so much dimension to your
Yeah.
stews and
And a different flavor too, I would think.
Oh, it's amazing. So,
I
yeah.
love it.
Anyway.
All right, so you're going to put me to work,
Okay,
and I'm
we're
going to
gonna-
make some granola.
We're going to make granola. I've got
Okay.
everything kind of pre-measured out.
All right.
And for granola, once you get your base down, and you can go on the internets and the Googles, and you can look up a granola recipe, and then you build what you want. So I've done that. I've kind of created my own little recipe here. So we're going to dump. It's a dump today. You're going to dump your ingredients. So you're
All
going
right.
to start with your oatmeal.
And how much is this?
This, I want to say, is like 2.5 cups. somewhere
Okay.
in there.
And is it fast or is it?
No, it's old-fashioned. Now, I use gluten-free oats in mine.
Oh,
You
good.
can find gluten-free oats. I prefer that just for our house
Okay.
and my shop. So this is my little mixture. This has my starter. This has some honey from my bees. This has a little browned butter.
Okay.
And some vanilla and just some stuff. So we're just gonna
All right, just dump that in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just scrape.
Now, do you bake this then?
Yep, we're gonna bake it. Once
Okay.
it's mixed, you're gonna put it on a sheet pan on parchment paper. And I bake mine for about 20 minutes till it's just a little bit golden brown. If you want bigger chunks, you just lay a flat. Lay it flat. If you want to have little crispies, about halfway through baking, you can start breaking that up.
Okay.
So then we're gonna take, I'm gonna budge in right here and
Okay.
stick that. This is a Danish whisk. It is my favorite whisk on the planet. You can find
It's so
these-
unique.
Yeah, you can find them at box stores, grocery stores, online. You just whisk that up, and I love
Like
this.
this?
Because, yeah, you just stir it right up, get that going.
Wow, that makes a
It
big
mixes-
difference.
I just think it mixes so well. A whisk, they get stuck in the tines, and it's just annoying.
A Danish whisk.
A Danish whisk is, I believe, what they're called. That's what I've been told.
But that's
So,
quick too,
Yeah,
and you can get them
see,
so
it
it's just
really
wet.
mixes in.
Okay.
And then this is a mixture that I made up of, it's got dried cherries, the cranberry raisin mix, it's got sliced almonds, you can add all kinds of fruits, whatever your favorite is, or no nuts, or whatever. It's really up to you now. We've
Okay.
got our base, so we're just gonna dump all that in.
And so it's amazing that part of this is what you
Yes.
discarded from
Yeah.
that. So then let me ask you this then too. So you talked about the sourdough being good for our tummy.
Mm-hmm.
So doing something like this then would make this then
Yeah,
good for
it
our
just
tummy as well.
transfers,
It
yeah.
wouldn't, and especially with the gluten-free oats too.
Now,
I
yeah,
would think that
yeah.
would make a difference as well.
So after you bake this and you get it all nice and cooled down, you can add whatever. So I often add like candied pecans or something just to give it a little more sweet to it. And hey, it's super healthy from the sourdough, so why not add some chocolate chips if you want, right? I mean, come on now. We can do whatever you want.
That's
right?
where you're talking my love language now too. Chocolate.
Whatever you want in your granola, you just build whatever.
So you said put parchment paper down,
Yeah,
correct? And then just put this on top.
Yep, on a flat sheet, you would put some parchment paper, you spread it out flat, right? And bake it for, I think it's 325 in my convection oven, and in a conventional oven, 350.
Okay.
For about 20 minutes, and then if you want to break it up to more crunchy bits, you can do that, and then another 10 minutes baked. If you don't want crunchy bits, you want the big old yummy mouthfuls, you don't have to break it up at all until
Just leave the
till it
pieces or
cools.
do the, yeah,
When
I love
cools,
it.
You just kind of break it. And I love this because it's not that tooth-breaking granola. There's some real softness to it.
Right, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for putting me to work today, because I always like when I get to be put to work. And I'm excited to see where our starter will be next week.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're a weekend, so
Yeah.
we've only got another week to go.
That's
till
right, and then we
use
can
it.
bake it. Okay, good. All right, don't forget, we need your help naming our sourdough starter. So head over to our Facebook page and send us your suggestions, and you can connect with Rhonda at IngramsSmallBatchLLC.square.site to get your small batch needs filled. And don't forget to follow her on Facebook.